shorter discourse to Malukya-Buddha. Very good.
63?
63, yes. All right. Let's talk about not just the world as it was 2,500 years ago, but let's also talk about what the world is in this moment, or in the last moment, or in the last moment. It keeps moving, so I can't stop, right? So what did we see yesterday? Did anyone see the protest in Washington, D.C. yesterday? Well, they had a protest yesterday, a rally yesterday to support one of the candidates. And is there anyone here that's still suffering? Yes? The honest one in the house.
Well, suffering in general, yes.
All right. Well, the news exposure, the exposure to the activities that were happening in Washington, D.C., and for that matter, all over the United States, from the voting issue and the coronavirus issue has gotten a lot of people in a state of paralyzation, a state that they feel bad and they don't know what to do next. They can't access their peace, their happiness. And I want to make sure that we don't move forward on our discussions and our study until we understand something about ourselves and the fundamental practices that we are saying we are part of. There's no point, in my opinion, of continuing to share Dharma, discuss Dharma, when we're not using it. It's like me helping you drive your car, showing you how to drive your car, and then you leave it parked. So the first thing I want to ensure or make sure of is that everyone here is in a state of peace. And so I know we have one who is not. We have two who is not. We have three who is not. Okay. So there was this monk, Malukya-Buddha, who sat in meditation, and the thoughts came up to him that the Buddha had not shared or did not share anything with him about the metaphysical aspects of the philosophy. Where do we go when we die? Who do we become when we die? All of those kinds of things, those questions. And he decided that he was going to go and talk to the Buddha and demand that the Buddha tell him the relevant philosophical answers to his problems, to his practice. And Buddha said no. He says, because when have I ever told you that this is what I'm going to teach you? What will I become when I die? What will you become when you die? He says, what I teach is this. This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. And this is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. That's it. That's all I teach. And he also gave him a simile about the poison arrow. And he said that what's important for all of us here and for all of those who are seeking stasis and peace and love and harmony and companionship is that we understand what suffering is. And we eliminate it through our practice. So, what is suffering? Suffering for some is what they think they feel. What is feeling? Impermanent or permanent? Impermanent. So what is impermanent is what? Not self, not me. I'm sorry, yeah? Suffering, all right? Suffering is what it is when it's impermanent and not self. So we first have to employ and live by the path that frees us. We have to recognize suffering. That's the problem, in my opinion, is that we don't always recognize what suffering is and when it's present. We can see it in others, but we can't see it in ourselves. We don't think we're suffering. Or when we think we're suffering, we think it's because you're doing what you're doing that's causing me suffering. And that all I have to do is get you to change what you're doing, and I will be okay. I will not suffer anymore. So this is the picture, the end picture of what rallies and protests are all about. That there's someone else who's doing something, and if they stop doing that something, I will be happy. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about our partner who we're living with, married to, estranged from, or whether we're talking about a political system that seems to, in this day, pit half the country against the other. That everyone on each side of the divide is saying, if the others stop doing what they're doing and do what I want them to do, then I will be happy and they will be happy and life will continue with the sun shining and everybody will be okay. But suffering occurs in one instance when I don't get what I want. In other words, when I get what I don't want, is another way to say the same thing. So my agitation is created not by what you do, but how I accept what you do. Because I think my way is correct and your way isn't. I think my way is a way of peace and yours is a way of agitation and confrontation and conflict. In other words, I judge your way, your truth as bad, and I trust, or I judge my truth and my way as good. I'll fix it, you can't. You've got to stop what you're doing so that I can do what I do, and everything will be fine. We believe that, or I'll throw it out as a question first. Why do you think we believe that?
Because there's like helping people and then there's hurting people. So sometimes for me it's not good and bad, but I want to work for helping people when I see someone being hurt.
Okay, so you're saying, well, I don't necessarily disagree with what the other side's doing, but I think the other side is hurting someone else?
Yeah. Like this is
Okay, and that's what aggravates you, right? Well, it doesn't matter, in my opinion, why I feel my agitation and my lack of peace. I'm still agitated and jittery. I still don't have a quiet place to sit and be who I truly am. And it doesn't matter what the reason is. What it implies and what it infers for most who are in it for the good of mankind is still the fact that we do not accept the moment as it is. Yeah? Mm-hmm. You're saying, in this moment, I don't like what's happening, and I want to employ change. Now that sounds like a noble thing on the surface. It seems like the right thing to do on the surface. But what we see as we employ that tactic is what? What does peace occur when we employ that practice?
no.
Okay, so is it pushing up against? Or in other words, we can split this sit in the middle and get a big thick rope. And this half get on this side of the rope with a knot, and this half get on the other side of the knot. And we pull. And we see which side prevails, which side wins, which side gets the people over to their side. The question that I was asked this morning, and that most people ask, when you say, well, you don't resist. You don't resist. You say, well, how does it get fixed? Well, you leave it alone. You accept the moment as it is. And when you accept the moment as it is, the next moment becomes better than that. Because none of your conflict and confrontation is in that new moment. What I do in this moment energizes my next moment. So if I fight in this moment for right and correctness, the next moment has my resistance to the past moment. If I accept the past moment in the moment, are you with me? Okay. If I accept it and be myself in that moment, not be a fixer, because as soon as I become a fixer, I'm saying that this moment is no good. I need to change this moment. I need to make it something different. It's not acceptable. Being loving, kind, joyful, equanimous, in this moment makes the next moment different than it would be if I struggle with this moment. we don't give the system, that is the practice, the opportunity to prove the truth out. It says, this is the path to freedom from suffering. And nowhere in that path, nowhere in that instruction on how to eliminate suffering in your moment says, well, you got to fight the other guys and make them change their mind. You got to beat them with a stick and make them change their mind. You got to be eloquent in your language and make them change their mind. It doesn't say anything about them, the other. It says you. This is why you are experiencing this agitation, this uneasiness. It's because you're trying to push against the moment as it is and make it something different. And the rule says to be mindful, you have to not try to create this moment or the next moment, but to mindfully be in each moment as it is and accept each moment on its terms, not on yours. You had nothing to do with the creation of the moment by yourself. The moment that we are coexisting in belongs to everybody because everyone had a piece of the action. Yes.
Isn't your volition in the moment changing the moment?
Is the volition in the moment change? Does it change the moment? Absolutely. That's a part of the karmic expression that goes forth and makes the next moment what the next moment is. So what I do, well, let's go back to, let's go to let's see. Dependent origination. So it starts out, dependent origination starts out with a blank slate, if you will, or a dark screen. You don't have anything there at all. There is no beginning. And what it tells us is that with ignorance as condition, volitions come to be. So now what is that instructing us? What is that informing us of? What comes to be starts with ignorance as condition. And the whole concept of creating self and I and suffering, craving, clinging, emotions, starts out with ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of the fact that if I am able to stay in a state of stillness and acceptance of the moment, no matter what it is, my next moment will not convey, or will not create for me suffering and agitation. The belief or the disbelief in this is suspended in the fact that I don't believe that my next moment will be better without me making it better myself. So we have got to learn, or we've got to trust the program. We've got to be able to take our hands, and someone said this, I don't take credit for this, that we're driving a bus and we take our hands off the wheel and let it go. And trust the process. We don't trust the process. We think that we have to get involved with it to make it better. We don't accept the moment as a gift that's special in and of itself. We want to make it better, different. We think that it has to be in order for it to be okay. Volition, karma. Yes?
How do we, with acceptance in the moment, as well as accepting that, death is inevitable for us all, when we're talking about politics or elections or whatever, regardless of what party is in power, a lot of times policies are leading to seemingly, to us in the historical context, premature deaths of many people. And we just had I'm sorry. I'm talking about wars. I'm talking about, policies that restrict, people being able to get housing or, food, like just a lot of poverty and things like that. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation the other day about, I think Sister shared that she had stepped on half of a bug or whatever, trying to make sure, the part of the precepts are making sure that no being suffers. So where in the moment of acceptance and understanding that people are born to die, but we know that in the historical context people will die. How do we continue to be and accept that and not try in some way to work against that? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're out in the streets, but I don't know, supporting political people. I guess what I'm.
Take your time.
Yeah, sorry, I talk fast too. I guess I'm wondering how I guess I'm having resistance against acceptance. Or, yes, maybe I can accept that people died unnecessarily today, but can't I still, in a peaceful way, try to prevent that tomorrow? If I see that there are policies or wars or things that contribute to this happening constantly.
Well, again, I think you expressed the need for action. And I'm just saying, you've got to trust the process and take your hands off of it. But a part of the requirement is to continue to be who you think is a positive addition to the life force. So if I'm telling someone that their aggression or their greed is the cause of the problem, then you've got to stop it. A part of what I'm inserting into that process and inserting into that moment is my disagreement with how you are doing things yourself. What I'm suggesting is that we try to trust the construct. The construct of this whole thing that we call life in the world. And believe with all of our hearts that it was okay before we came. It's okay while we're here. And it'll be okay when we're gone. This world is the way it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be that way based on all of the volition, of the collective volition of every small piece of dust that we call life force. And we together make it what we find it to be. If I can remember to not enter the moment with fear, to enter the moment with acceptance, again, mindfulness, that with those components in place, with those components that I bring to the moment, I will begin to find that my next moments will become softer and gentler and better and more agreeable. Because I have stopped inventing moments that I think are better than what will happen if I don't put my fingers in it. So again, this comes about through faith. This comes about through trust, not trust in I know better than everyone else, and so I'm going to make this the way I think it should be so that everybody will be okay. But the trust and faith that says, you just do your part, which is to live by the Noble Eightfold Path. And don't worry about the other guys and what they're doing or not doing. Just do your part. Just do your piece. And your piece is not to interfere with and co-create the next moment for anybody else but yourself. And so therefore you eliminate that process of dependent origination by eliminating the ignorance that says, I've got to make this better myself, so I'm going to get in and change things around. It's, as I said from the beginning when I started this, that it is very difficult for human beings to accept the fact that the world is okay without their input. Because we don't know what's down on the street. We don't know what's going on around the corner. We don't know what's going on in the next county. So how can we justify and feel that what we're doing will fix everything else? It says, and it implores us, it begs us to just do and fix ourselves so that we will present and demonstrate how to live in community with others, including how do I carry myself when there is no other? How do I walk? How do I help the elderly? How do I help the children? You see, I'm so busy trying to do this that the children starve and the elderly are lonely. If I do the things that I know are appropriate for others through the demonstration of kindness and love, I don't have time to fix you. I don't have time to mark your progress and your rights and wrongs because I'm so busy taking care of those who need someone in their lives to be kind to. Just right now. But again, that's not me starting a war with the rebels of wherever, because I think that the rebels of wherever are responsible for the hungry children. And so I don't get involved in fighting and conflict. I get involved in helping and loving and trusting that this is the answer, that love, kindness, altruism, equality is the answer to this. Not making someone else do, stop, be who I think they should be. And it's hard to do, isn't it? Because again, the first question that comes up in the mind is, yeah, but how's this going to change if I don't make it happen, if I don't make it change, if I don't make them behave? And it's always a them. And remember that we are, or have been, a them to someone who feels that we should change. So we got to be careful about that, in my opinion. But the point I'm making is that, or I'm trying to make, is that we have to trust what we say we practice. You know, it's like saying I trust in the Dharma or I trust in God, but just in case I'm about to go. And what a lot of groups are learning, I hope, is that no matter how many guns they buy, they can't even deal with something they can't see that's killing them. So how do they feel justified and satisfied that owning 20 guns or one gun, because a gun does nothing but kill people. It doesn't, it's not a doorstop. It's not a grocery cart. The only thing you can do with a gun is shoot someone or miss them. But we got, if we don't trust the system that we say we belong to, that's the right one for myself, that will make me a better person in the world. If I can't trust that, if I don't trust that, then what am I doing? Okay, so do we have some people and what is this computer thing? What is the computer thing? Facebook, right?
Yeah, today we're on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and Instagram. So there's nothing at the moment. We would have to wait for the delay to get a response.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
So if we're doing the work, if we're there sort of trying to, just be love for kids or the elderly, like really just trying to practice that, how do you balance, I guess, when you see on that sort of one-on-one basis or experience, when you see like the social injustice or the pain or violence, how do you balance not, just wanting to help, but not take on their suffering, I guess? Or how do you want to maybe fight for, that type of peace? Through love, but also make sure that you take a stand while creating that, like, change, like that social justice, that slow arc of change that you want to see in the world.
Okay. So what did Jesus do?
Flipping tables.
He tore the temple up.
He didn't run away, and he didn't fight anybody. He rode the donkey into town and got on the cross. My point is, again, if things aren't changing for you, if things aren't changing fast enough, it doesn't mean necessarily that you should sign up and fight the war. But continue to look in your own everyday existence and practice and ask yourself, is there something more that I can do in this moment to usher forth peace and love and harmony, not changing someone else, but loving them enough to know that whatever state of mind and being they're in this moment is because that's what they need to be, because of the karma and the misunderstandings that relationship and how to be a good citizen in the world, how to be a good supporter of those who have no support. So what I am asking you to do is to just trust the practice and see if it works for you. If it doesn't, if you put in all of the love you have and all of the kindness that you have and all of the compassion that you have and all of the equanimity that you think you have, and things still suck for you, then change. Try something different. But give that thing that you're trying to do that's different as much effort, as much study, as much trust as you give this practice. And see what happens. I know we don't believe it, but I didn't write the book. But I do believe in it. And that's why I'm sitting here. That's why I'm not up on the East Coast with my grandchildren. Because I've got a mandate, I've got a responsibility to share with others what freed me from suffering. I'm not sharing this because I bought a book, or I went to a seminar, or I met a monk. I'm sharing this and spending time in this county. Well, I still don't know why I'm here. But I'm spending time here talking to friends of mine because it worked for me. That's all I'm saying. I have faith in this movement. I have faith in this process because I tried the other things and they didn't work for me. I saw them working for some people, or at least it appeared that it was working for some people, because they seemed to be better people than I was. They seemed to have less anger than I did. They seemed to have more forgiveness and compassion than I did. So I felt that the philosophy or theology that they were following was working for them, but it wasn't working for me. It wasn't transforming me into the same kind of good person that I thought that they were. So I kept moving. And I finally found something that caused the erasure, caused the effacement of all of the distress and judgmental actions and anger and smarter than you that was in me that caused me to be so angry with the world and with others. So I'm just saying I'm giving a gift. And I'm saying it works, but you gotta work it. You gotta know what you got, and you gotta know how to use it. And one of the first things to understand is, what is it that this suffering is all about? What is suffering? Am I suffering? And once you determine that, then you decide, what am I going to do about it? What does the world want from me? And then I began to, and if you are interested, you begin to research and become sensitive to not what I make others do or stop doing that makes the world better, but what is it that I do? What kind of life am I living that makes the world a better place for others to be in? And then live that way. So, trust your faith. Have faith in your trust. Employ the energy that's necessary. Make the effort. Even when it's hard to do, make the effort. Use the 5 powers to make this work for you. Use the right efforts to make this work for you. Because it's definitely work. It's hard to be good when everybody else is just seemingly running over everything, disrespecting everything. It's hard to be good when everyone else is being bad. You think that you've got to either join them or show them how to be good. You got to bump chests with them. So, I hope that helps.
Matthew on Facebook has a question. This question is, what is the difference between engaging the world by bringing goodness and engaging the world by trying to change badness?
The difference is I'm not in someone else's rice bowl. I'm trying to fix my own stuff, my own heart. I'm not trying to make someone else good. I'm trying to make me good. And I use the experiences that I have with the world and with others to determine not how good they are, but how good I am. How efficient I am. Not good in the sense of good and bad, but how efficient I am in being this good citizen. It's all about me. It's not about you. It's all about me. Only you can make it about you. So whenever you are feeling stressed, ask yourself whether it's because you're trying to fix it by fixing someone else. If I find disharmony, I try to become more harmonious. If I find poverty and lack, I try to bring more to it. I try to give more what I've got, share with what I've got. But without these experiences, without these, well, that's all I can think of. Without these experiences, there is no way for me to practice. If everything were perfect, if everybody was God, there would be nothing to do. You could roll all this up and go home, wherever home is, and sit on the couch and eat Fritos, watch cartoons. Yeah, there would be nothing to do. So the world is what the world is, to give us the opportunity to find who we are. So again, the reflections, we hear this thing about when you meet people and they're really your teacher, even though they're pushing your buttons. They help you find the deficiencies in yourself. And I can either fight you and blame you and argue with you or can stop seeing you, or I can listen to what you're telling me and go inside myself and fix my own dysfunctions, which will then make me a better citizen, a better brother, better sister, better husband, better wife, a better citizen of the community. That's all. It's that easy. So just turn the idea of, well, this doesn't feel right to me and I'm going to fix it, to this doesn't feel right to me and I'm going inside myself to examine why. And I'm going to soften myself up until this is better, different. I'm going to ask higher consciousness to show me and help me find the answers so that everyone will stop. The hating, the fear, and just start to enjoy life, enjoy each other, and assist each other, and work with each other, and respect each other. But I can't ask you to do that if I'm not doing it. And I know the first thing that comes up in the mind is, yeah, well, why do I always have to change? Why do I always have to be the good one? Because you are. Okay. Everybody's good? All right. Then how about the folk on Facebook and Woofer and Twitter
Oh,
thank you for the apple. Okay, so we're waiting for the delay, right?
Nina shares, to this day, I still often go back to and reflect on a simple, beautiful thing you shared with me. I am not enlightened, but I am not suffering. Such profound truth. Metta and love.
Okay, would you read that again a little louder, please?
To this day, I still often go back to and reflect on a simple, beautiful thing you shared with me. I am not enlightened, but I am not suffering. Such a profound truth. Metta and love.
Yeah, that sounds like me. All right. Anyone else before we sign off?
That's all.
That's all? All right, well, let's wish everyone out there in visual land a great day. Hope everybody's families are safe, healthy. Hope everyone wears a mask. All right. Smile at a stranger. See you soon.